A set of quality anamorphic lenses for $30,000. Is that real? Fair pricing has always been at the heart of our team, so we're especially excited to introduce products that make filmmaking more accessible. Hi everyone, I'm Alex. Here we got a set of 6 lenses, Pavo Anamorphic 2X from DZO, covering focal lengths from 28 to 100 millimeters. All lenses are compact and lightweight, ranging between 1.2 and 1.6 kilograms. We decided to test the lenses and see how they perform in natural environment. Pavo lenses are definitely best suited for artistic shooting. Their strong swirling bokeh and pronounced barrel distortion create a vivid, expressive effect. At the same time, the image remains sharp at the center of the frame, effectively highlighting the subject. On the wide-angle 28mm and 32mm lenses, convex distortion of the foreground is noticeable. However, at wide aperture settings, significant chromatic aberrations appear. Up to T2.8, the lenses maintain contrast not perfectly, with the working aperture beginning at T4. Before we started testing this DZOFILM set, we asked ourselves, what is the benchmark for cinematic anamorphic lenses? ARRI Master Anamorphic, Hawk, Cooke? To get a broader, more practical sense of how viable the Pavo lenses might be for big-budget studio work, we decided to compare them to the industry standard optics. Cooke Anamorphic 2X. A particularly convenient feature is the pleasant minimum focusing distance. Here, Pavo lenses significantly outperform Cooke. For example, on the 40mm lenses, it's 45 centimeters compared to Cooke's 90, and on the 100mm lenses, 95 centimeters versus Cooke's 120. The pronounced barrel distortion in Pavo lenses diminishes as the focal length increases, whereas Cooke lenses exhibit pincushion distortion. A standout feature of Pavo lenses is the teardrop-shaped swirling bokeh towards the edges of the frame, most noticeable on the 55mm and 75mm lenses. At wide apertures, chromatic aberrations are present similar to those seen on Cooke lenses. The longer the focal length, the more pronounced the flare and the lens astigmatism. Cooke renders a slightly more defined, out-of-focus background and more defined skin texture in the plane focus. The flare in DZO lenses is soft and low contrast, breaking into a spectrum on the lower apertures. On Cooke lenses, it's more pronounced with a vivid blue hue. Also present are green and blue reflections and vertical thin lines. The lenses render colors close to natural, whereas Cooke produce the characteristic warm Cooke look. But let's hear a professional opinion on these lenses. I'm here with director Nikolai Pigaryov. So, you watched the DZO Pavo Anamorphic tests. What are your impressions?
First of all, this is almost a theological conversation. Optics are a deeply personal, tailor-made thing. In today's world, that's really one of the last things that actually separates one setup from another's. Because nowadays, Each device has everything you need. All modern cameras are equally good, really excellent. The difference between Alexa, Red, Sony, and so on, they more or less all shoot the same now. What actually makes the image is the optics, the optical image itself. It's like different paints. Pavo anamorphics are quite pleasing. They're classic 2x. Real anamorphic lenses, not the pseudo-anamorphics being pushed now with 1.3x or 1.5x squeeze, which I don't much like. These are genuine X2 anamorphics and they behave properly. But what is most important thing here? It's a proper lineup. There is everything you need from 28 millimeters through 180 millimeters. This is what a real working kit looks like. First of all, they're about half the size of Atlas lenses. That's a huge practical plus because let's face it, we've all gotten lazy and nobody wants to lug an Alexa XT with a Cooke anamorphic anymore.
Yeah, that's quite relatable.
Your back can't handle it the way it used to. Easy rigs get annoying and everyone wants something more compact and lighter, something you can actually take with you. Let's remember, why did Atlas become so popular and change the whole anamorphic market? There were Lomo anamorphics that everyone loved. Really stunning, nice texture with vivid, swirling backgrounds. But they were just unbearable to work with. Focus would wander, front elements would fall off, optics would be off. After Lomo, there were those enormous, unattainable anamorphics like Cooke or Master Anamorphic, which for a long time were not popular on the market. They were technically excellent, but they lacked spirit and character, but too perfect. You put them on and it's like, sure, everything is sharp and precise, but where's the anamorphic quirk that we love? When Dan Keynes at Atlas made his first lens, basically screwing a Schneider projector element onto something and saying, look, you can do this. Like people were like, wow. And he claimed it wouldn't have to cost $40,000. He said he'd sell them much cheaper, and that changed things. But Atlas themselves stopped being what you could call cheap. We all saw what happened over the last 3 years. The lens market exploded with vast amount of options. The prices for interesting lenses changed drastically. They went from starting at like what, $20,000 and down to as low as $1,500. Atlas lenses retail now is about $8,000 or $9,000 a piece, I think. Pavo, as I understand it, retails around $6,000. They're half the size and they give you the classic anamorphic look. X2 squeeze, that flattened oval bokeh, a bit of barrel, but with modern reliable mechanics, modern housings, consistent front elements, weights under 2 kilograms. That checks a lot of technical boxes so they can consider it a proper usable set. But first of all, of course, it's the matter of taste, but aesthetically it's a pleasant, typical anamorphic image. When you talk about anamorphic, that's what you expect. Is there a difference between optics that costs $5,000 and optics that costs $30,000? Of course there is.
We noticed Cooke looks a bit sharper and renders faces with more micro detail, while Pavo is a bit softer. Master anamorphics would be on the sharper side too.
Compared to a Cooke, yes. Put on a Lomo and you'll get something softer the other way.
And again, this is the matter of taste.
It's a matter of taste, yes, but there is more to it. Taste plays into why there's a boom in Chinese optics right now. For 100 years, we chased getting anything remotely in focus on crappy film stock. So it was crucial to have lenses that were super accurate. No aberrations, no surprises. Strip everything away because the film itself already introduced so much chaos. If you could just get something on film in focus, you were happy. But today, with modern digital cameras, we face the opposite problem. People say, why show everything? So they slap on 8 Pro Miss filters or whatever to make a footage look more cinematic and not like some amateur recording of everyday life. So for many of us, sharpness stopped being the sole deciding factor in lens choice because sometimes you don't want that level of resolution. It will reveal every flaw without helping to convey the very spirit of the picture. Another crucial point, we have custom optics from Pavlov. It's called Blackline. I love their look. They're great lenses, but he only rents them out. You can't buy them. It's a bit of showmanship. For a long time, they were the only lenses with true close focus. Literally put your finger in front of the lens and you could focus on it. Now a new generation of lenses, including Pavo, offers close focus across the set, as far as I remember. That lets you push foregrounds closer and separate elements more creatively. They're small and neat, yeah, not like a giant Cooke anamorphics or heavy full-frame glass that you need 2 hands to lift. What else? They're T2.1. which on the one hand isn't very much, but on the other hand is fine for anamorphics. And as I already said before, modern cameras are so sensitive you rarely need more. They have interchangeable mounts, P, L, and EF, which is convenient. Considering all this, I think they will be a useful find for the mid-market. It can really become a solid baseline, just nice, affordable anamorphics, which could become widespread. Could this actually start a useful trend where everyone ends up shooting on these? Look at Atlas. People began using Atlases, and Atlas kind of became the default. If you don't have the budget for something fancier to show off with, Atlas will usually do the job for most productions. Pavo has a real opportunity to step into that niche because it brings three major advantages: price, size, and a complete focal range.
And it doesn't have those pronounced streaks like Atlas.
And it doesn't have those heavy streaks. It's more classical, a bit more restrained, especially now with the clear trend of budgets being cut and high-end production shrinking. People who face a choice to shoot anamorphic but need to trim the budget go, oh damn, what do we do? Pavo is a great solution. No, it's not high-end. Who's calling it high-end? Well, it isn't. There's no lens data, and I wouldn't recommend it for heavy VFX work. But you can slap it on an RS3 and run with it.
Yeah, why not?
RS3 with Komodo or FX3, and you'll have a lovely lightweight set and a great image.
Agreed. Thanks a lot, Nikolai.
My pleasure.
The Pavo line has several strengths. For its price segment, it delivers respectable image quality and stands out with a strong artistic character because of its swirling bokeh. The lenses are comfortable to work with because of their compact size and lightweight, a big advantage when shooting on a gimbal. The short minimum focus distance lets you get as close as you need to the subject, opening up more creative options for framing. That's all for today. Thanks for watching and have a magnificent day.